Hey guys, it's Kathleen with Thrifty Britches, and I am back with another sort of what sold video. It's a little bit of a different format. I have been selling so much vintage lately. If you are new getting into selling vintage items, then maybe somebody would find this video useful of my top 10 sales in vintage items. The way that I picked what my top 10 sales were going to be was based on price, obviously, because if you flip it for a really decent profit, that's a good flip. But I also picked out things that were quick flippers. All of the items I picked up pretty low, flipped pretty high, and flipped relatively fast. Now, not all of them are going to be like overnight sales. I love when those happen. They don't happen every single day. So some of them might have taken up to a couple of weeks. Nothing that I put on my top 10 list is a long tail item, something that hung around for, months and months and months before selling. All of them were pretty quick flips, relatively speaking. If you are new to my channel, I'm a part-time reseller, full-time school counselor, and I have an eBay store with my sister Karen, who is a full-time kindergarten teacher, part-time reseller, and we make up Thrifty Britches. We troll yard sales, thrift stores, estate sales, all the things, looking for undervalued crap that we can pick up for a good deal and flip for a profit on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and a little bit on Etsy and Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to tackle this David Letterman style, and I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up to the top, even though all of the items on this list I think are pretty much close with each other in terms of things that I would pick up again. So I'm going to start off with this Ralph Lauren plaid blanket. Y'all, this was such a good score. This was at a yard sale that I went to, or rather it was an estate sale. And it was the one that I talked about in my Thrift With Me video that was kind of being billed as a collector's sale, which 9 times out of 10 is going to mean that it is somebody who is into hoarding. And that usually works out to a reseller's advantage because people are just trying to get rid of stuff. They're trying to unload merchandise. If I had this sale to do all over again, I would have picked up a lot more stuff. I wasn't 100% certain about some of the items I was picking up, but hindsight's 20/20, and looking in the rearview mirror, I'm like, I should have gotten that and this and this. Okay, so this was a new old stock item. It was sealed and in its original packaging, and it is this beautiful, like dark green colored plaid blanket by Ralph Lauren. I listed this for $85, and it sold the first night that I listed it. Somebody made me an offer of $75, and it was on Poshmark. And so I took it, and then she canceled the sale. So the next morning I went in and quickly relisted it on eBay again. And within an hour, it had sold for full asking price of $85. And the girl from Poshmark who had canceled the order came back and wanted to buy it again. And I had to tell her, sorry, you snooze, you lose. So that was an awesome item to pick up. At that yard sale, she had a bunch of sheets, like flat sheets, fitted sheets, pillowcases, things like that by Ralph Lauren. And I hadn't sold any linens by Ralph Lauren that were new old stock, and I just didn't know. And so I picked up this one just to kind of dip my toe in the water, and lo and behold, it was a slam dunk. So what are you gonna do? All right, next on my list is this Sunbeam vintage toaster. This was such a good score, and I totally credit Kayla from Homeschooling Picker because she is the one that turned me on to picking up these vintage appliances made out of chrome. This was such a good score. I grabbed this at a yard sale for $2, and when I was checking out of the yard sale, the person running the yard sale said, yeah, it doesn't work. I mean, it goes down and it heats up, but it doesn't pop up. I figured, you know what, for $2, I'm gonna roll the dice because these are selling for 200 plus. So I brought it home, I YouTubed it, tried to fix it. That is so beyond my skill set. So I just moved on, took the pictures, listed it, and made it clear in the description that although it goes down the way it's supposed to, because it's really cool. It almost works like a hydraulic. I have no idea how this could possibly work, especially because it's vintage. It's from like the 50s, I think. Maybe not. Maybe like the 60s or 70s. But it's old. And so when you put a piece of toast in, it senses the toast and goes down. It's like Jetsons type stuff, if I'm not dating myself with that reference. and it just sinks down, and then when it is done, it automatically pops up. Except it doesn't pop. It just kind of gently rises. I mean, it's really, really high tech for a vintage item. So I listed it and made sure they understood that it does not come back up, because I didn't want anybody burning their house down on my account. And it sold. I put it on Etsy and eBay and Mercari, and it sold within a week of having listed it on Etsy for full asking price of $125. So $2 into $125, super flip. Yes, please. Next on the list is this set of Harvard Classic books. And the best way I can describe it is it just took a bunch of classic novels by Shakespeare and Dante and Milton and all the classic authors that you can think of, and reprinted them all in this one set. It is not a complete set, but it was 14 different books. So it looked like these things had a really good resale value. I don't do a lot of vintage books, but I figured I would take a chance because they were only $15 for the entire set. So I scooped those up, put them on Etsy. These took about 2.5 weeks to finally sell, but they also sold for full price offer on Etsy, or full price asking on Etsy, mostly because I don't know how to do offers on Etsy. Let me know in the comments if that's even a thing. I don't sell a lot of stuff on Etsy. I pretty much only post my vintage items on Etsy. So when somebody likes it, I haven't been going in and doing offers because I don't know how. But anyway, I turned $15 into $140. And these books are from 1937, so they are way, way vintage. Now, the downside to selling vintage books is they are heavy as can be. So make sure that you mark everything media mail and that you only ship it media mail, because you will go broke if you don't. So those went out, they were received, accepted, everything went through on that sale. I was super, super happy with that sale. I will absolutely pick up vintage books again. However, always do the comps, because not all vintage books are created equal. Okay, at number 7 on my list is this set of vintage goodie brushes and picks. This was such a fabulous score. So I went to this church yard sale, and they were raising money for a mission. And so it was the kind of thing where you could just fill a bag, give them $20, and they were happy. And I have really big bags, so I was able to fit a lot of stuff into my bag. And there was a ton of vintage stuff to be had. So this was in a big bin, and once again, I regret that I didn't buy every last one. I bought all of the cream and red brushes that I could find, and all of the vent brushes that I could find, and I picked up all of the picks that I could find. There were a couple of other wire, or not wire brushes, but like bristly type brushes that I didn't pick up because the comps were kind of not really clear on whether those were selling or not. And again, I hadn't ever sold something like this before, so I just wasn't sure. So I listed them again on eBay, Mercari, and Etsy. Okay, so the first two that sold were these two red and cream brushes. Each of them sold for $28. Then I sold on eBay a wood vent brush. This one sold for $24. This green pick sold for $13, the black pick for $18, and this pink pick for $15. Then I sold this small vent brush, so it was about half the size of a normal brush, maybe 3/4 of the size of a normal brush, and that sold for $18. And then these pink rollers sold for $14. The only thing that I have left that I picked up at that sale is a pair of gold barrettes, and every once in a while somebody likes them, but other than that, they're doing nothing. So yes to brushes, no to barrettes. So for what I estimated was about $1.75 that I spent on all of those items, I flipped those for a grand total of $134. Coming in at number 6 is this set of vintage Brockway Flower of the Month mugs. So these are in a milk glass, and we picked them up at Goodwill for 79 cents per glass, and we had 11 out of 12 months. So we paid a total of $8.69 for these glasses. We have had them, now I say everything in this listing is a quick flip. This would be the exception. I did sell a lot of them really, really quick. but because I had 11 of them, they have been selling over the year. I guess I've had them listed about a year. And so they have been slowly selling, but when I tell you these have just been such a great pickup, they are always getting attention, always getting the likes. People are asking me questions about them. And for our $8.69 original investment, we sold the 10 that we have sold for $144. And if anybody needs a Flower of the Month mug for the month of March, I think March is the one that I have left. I'd have to check. But I'm willing to make you a deal on that just to get the last one out the door. Number 5 is also a very recent pickup. I just picked these up on Saturday. These are of the lot of 19 Santa Face vintage Japan mugs that I picked up at a yard sale this past weekend for $10. So I am, I don't know, 50 cents in for the whole kit and caboodle. And I have only listed 8 of the mugs out of the 19, mostly because there's several of them that need a rhinestone attached for the winky eye, because it's a winking Santa with a little rhinestone. So I've got to reattach the rhinestones because they've come off. And things like that. And one of them is super huge. It's like this big, it's a planter. And so I just haven't had a chance to photograph it and do all the things. But the 8 that I listed are already all sold. So of my $10 investment, understanding that I still have 11 more to list, I sold this O mug as in Noel. So each mug has N-O-E-L, you get it. So I sold the O for $13 and I sold the E for $15. And then I sold 2 mini mugs together for $25. I sold this large red and white rhinestone eye winking Santa. It's a regular sized mug, not a miniature like the other 2, for $15. And then I sold these 3 winking rhinestone eye Santas without the red for $50. So far, of my $10 investment, I have made $118, so not bad, and I still have more than half of them left to flip. So I am cautiously optimistic that this is going to end up being one of my bigger vintage sales because it should go over the $200 mark, so yay. Okay, next is, I have totally lost count, so I'm just going to keep going in order and we'll take it from there. The next item on my list is this vintage Pyrex. This is the Amish Butterprint Cinderella Bowl set. We picked this up at a yard sale for only $5. My mom actually picked this up and I flipped it for $175. And y'all, when I tell you the shipping was through the nose because it's super heavy plus all of the packing. And I am very happy to say that I made it there in one piece because I am completely OCD with my bubble wrap. Next on the list is the very first big ticket item that Karen and I sold, and it is a pair of vintage Flexi Clogs. I had never seen this type of shoe, and I have never seen it since. We picked this up at a, not a yard sale, an estate sale for $3, and Karen gets full credit for this because she said, that just looks like something. I gotta believe that is something. It was this weird shoe. It was a sandal, but the whole sole of the sandal has hinges on it. So where your toes touch, hinges, and in the back behind the arch, hinges. It looked like puppet feet to me. You know how puppets do that weird thing? And that's what it looked like to me. I cannot believe that it's comfortable. But let me tell you the sell-through rate on those. So I want to say we had them listed for around $200, took an offer of $175. Nice flip from $3. Next is this vintage Banana Republic cashmere sweater. Not all Banana Republic cashmere is created equal. Not all vintage is created equal. And honestly, I still don't know what it was about this one that made it such a hot item to sell. But as soon as I listed this turtleneck, immediately I was getting offers, I was getting likes all over the place, and finally somebody just bought it outright on Poshmark, full price purchase for $175. We paid only $3 for this at the Salvation Army. Fabulous, fabulous flip. Okay, and then the last item on my list of my top 10 bolos for vintage items is, of course, the Villeroy Embach French Garden China set. I got this at the same estate sale, collector sale, where I got the vintage Ralph Lauren. I picked this entire set up for $30. And every single piece of it sold. All of them sold within a week of having listed them. I didn't list all of them at the same time because it was such a huge lot. I did break it up over several weeks, but all of the pieces sold within less, and most of them less than a week. A lot of them sold overnight having listed them. So I sold these 2 Vienna plates for 20 bucks, these orange plates for 28 bucks, these Florence plates for $19.46. Clearly that was an offer. And these Valence, or Valenci, I don't know how to pronounce, and these Valence plates for $25. All of them are different styles that are all within the same French garden pattern for Villeroy and Embach. Okay, then I sold 4 bowls for 80 bucks. These sold on Poshmark. These 2 mugs sold for $12 on Poshmark. These 4 bowls sold for $55 on Poshmark. These 3 bowls sold for $45 on Poshmark. And these 4 bowls sold for $65 on Poshmark. So in total, for my $30 investment, I flipped that into $349.46. So that is a fabulous, fabulous home run. Absolutely will do Villeroy and Embach again. Okay guys, that is everything for this video. Let me know in the comments if you like these types of videos as opposed to just thrift with me videos or what sold videos. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, help us out in YouTube world. And remember, it's not cheap, it's thrifty. Bye guys.